They had no words for father. On the mist-shrouded marsh world of Nishatel, the Aelithai existed in shimmering flocks, their bodies a luminous dance of liquid light and drifting filaments. They were born from communal pools, nurtured by nutrient fogs and the soft warmth of the planet's ever-humming tides. Every Aelithai youngling emerged as part of the whole. No parents, no singular lineage, only a shared consciousness that pulsed through the wetlands like an electric heartbeat. To them, individuality was a disease, a strange notion that threatened the harmony of the collective. No one ever claimed a child. No one ever sang a lullaby to a single hatchling. When a young one faltered, the flock moved on, its glow simply dimming, its absence absorbed by the endless flow of collective light. Then a human ship crash-landed in the southern marshes during a violet thunder season. The lone survivor was a maintenance officer named Jacob Renner, a man of strong shoulders and tired eyes, a man who carried inside him the gentle echo of Earth's long-lost meadows and late-night kitchen stories. His ship's hull sank into the nutrient pools, metal dissolving into the hungry fog, but he emerged, battered and breathless, dragging supplies and half-functioning medkits across miles of phosphorescent reeds. The Aelithai watched from a distance, curious but cautious. They did not approach, not until the season of splitting arrived and the marsh's young began to crawl from the birth pools, thin and trembling, their filaments barely glowing, fragile like starlight about to fade. Jacob saw them first. His human instincts surged beyond his exhaustion. He staggered forward, arms outstretched, gathering the smallest ones who shivered and collapsed in the cold morning mists. He pressed them against his chest, whispering soft, meaningless syllables, old earth words like, "It's okay, you're safe. I've got you." His hands were clumsy, coarse against their delicate glow, but each child he touched flickered brighter, their filament glow pulsing like a heartbeat newly discovered. The Aelithai elders pulsed in alarm, their collective minds surging with confusion. He divides himself. He offers warmth. He shields the weak. They echoed among each other, unable to understand why a being would weaken itself for a single small spark. But Jacob did not stop. He built crude shelters from his crashed ship's remains, lined them with torn thermal blankets, wrapped the trembling children in his clothes, his warmth, his scent. He fed them nutrient paste drop by careful drop, guided them to sleep with humming vibrations from an old earth lullaby, his voice low and cracked. Days turned into cycles. The young began to cling to him, gathering around his legs, reaching for his rough fingers. They started to emit new sounds, faint echoes of his words, mimicries of the earth syllables they heard in his voice. One youngling, the smallest, pressed against his chest one night as acid mist swept the marsh. Its glow flickered weakly, its filaments curling in fear. Jacob cradled it tighter, heartbeat thrumming steady against its fragile body. "It's okay. I'm here," he whispered, forehead pressed to its quivering glow. The youngling released a small, hesitant pulse, an echo that shivered through the entire flock. And in that echo, a new concept sparked, a vibration never before felt in the Aelithai's collective mind. Jacob's human heart thudded through the alien night, an untranslatable rhythm, a single soul choosing, protecting, loving. The elders gathered, their lights swirling in anxious confusion. They tried to absorb the younglings back into the flock, but the little ones clung to him, wrapping their filaments around his arms, weaving into his hair, refusing to let go. "He divides us," the elders pulsed aghast. "He plants separation." Yet, beneath the disapproval, an undercurrent of wonder began to swirl. They watched as the younglings thrived, their lights growing stronger than any cycle in recent memory. They no longer just survived, they laughed in shimmering pulses, wove small patterns for him to wear, repeated his simple earth sounds until they became shimmering songs in the fog. The elders soon realized something terrifying and magnificent. The collective glow brightened, the marsh pools began to heal faster, the nutrient fog thickened with energy. All because one human had chosen to hold their weakest close, to give his warmth and heart, rather than letting them slip silently back into the pool. In the following cycles, the elders began to try, hesitantly, to mimic him, hesitatingly offering individual comfort to lone younglings, attempting to weave protective shells around them, humming imperfect, low, shaking sounds that resembled Jacob's lullabies. And slowly, without ever intending to, the Aelithai learned a new pulse. They felt the shape of a bond that was not communal blur but personal, focused, fiercely protective. A vibration that had no name in their language. So they crafted a new word, one that pulsed warmly through the fog. The far, a vibration to mean he who holds, he who gives warmth beyond self, he who becomes a shelter. When they tried to translate it, they realized their tongues could not shape it fully. But they learned from Jacob that humans had a word for this impossible idea. "Father," he whispered, tears streaming down his face when he first heard them call him that, their glows pressed against his chest. On that alien marsh, beneath swirling storms and endless fog, a people without individuality or lineage discovered the staggering power of a single human heartbeat. They had no word for father before. But now, when they looked at him, at the one who stayed, who refused to abandon, who held each fragile life as if it was the whole universe, they understood. And across the shimmering marshes of Nishatel, as the new dawn shimmered violet across the pools, the children pulsed in soft, bright rhythms. "Father, father, father,"